In Spanish, you use the pluperfect tense when referring to actions that had happened in the past. Examples would be, I had washed the car, I had done the washing, I had laid the table, I had prepared the dinner, and I had definitely earned my pocket money. In this lesson, we're looking at Spanish verbs in the pluperfect tense. We're looking at all of the past participles, regular and irregular. We've just looked at what this tense means, but we're also going to look at how we use haber for this tense. So our aims are to learn how to recognise regular and irregular pluperfect tense verbs, and to learn how to form regular and irregular pluperfect tense verbs. First, a quick recap on how the perfect tense is formed in Spanish. Firstly, you need haber, in this case in the present tense, has, ha, hemos, habéis, han, plus a stem of an infinitive plus an ending. So for example, he cantado, I have sung, he comido, I have eaten, he vivido, I have lived. How's the pluperfect tense formed in Spanish though? It does still use the verb haber like the present tense was used before, but this time you must use it in the imperfect tense to say had done something. So here we see the imperfect tense of the verb haber in its full form. Había, habías, había. Habíamos, habíais, habían. I had, you had, etc. It would be a good idea to copy this down now so that you'll be able to use it for the activities later. Step 2 is to create the past participle. This is the ed form of the verb in English, by adding the appropriate ending to the stem. Remember, the stem is created by the infinitive minus the last two letters. The great thing is that to talk about other people, it is only the form of haber that changes, and here we see it on the left hand side in the imperfect tense. Notice how the stems for AR verbs are literally the infinitive minus AR plus ado, and for ER and IR they are the same. You remove the endings and you add ido. Remember, there are irregular past participles, and here they are. If you haven't copied them down in an earlier lesson, it is a good idea to copy them down now because you will be using them in the next activity. We have dicho, hecho, visto. The other thing to realise is that all of these verbs can also have a prefix at the start. For example, escribir is to write, but describir is to describe. So if escrito has a D in front of it, descrito, it would mean described rather than written. Now translate the following verbs. Remember to choose the correct form of haber in the imperfect tense and then conjugate the verbs in the steps you've already used. But beware of irregular verbs because there are lots of them here. Only look back on your table though if you feel you need to. Otherwise, maybe think of the verb in your head before you write it down or before you check your reference chart. Pause the video, complete the activity and then self-mark your work. And if you get it wrong, correct your answer so you can learn from your mistake. Número 1. He had done. Había hecho. Número 2. They had drunk. Habían bebido. Número 3. We had worked. Habíamos trabajado. Número 4. You, plural, had fried. Habíais frito. Número 5. I had lived. Había vivido. Número 6. They had broken. Habían roto. Número 7. He had died. Había muerto. Número 8. She had seen. Había visto. Número 9. I had filmed. Había rodado. Número 10. I had returned. Había vuelto. Número 11. We had said. Habíamos dicho. Número 12. He had visited. Había visitado. Now remember, in Spanish you don't need to use the subject pronoun yo for I, tú, él, ella, etc. unless you need to clarify who it is that's being spoken about. For example, numbers 7, 8, 9, 10 and 12 all have the same auxiliary verb. So in these situations you may use yo, él or ella if you needed to clarify who it was that had done the verb. Correct any mistakes you've made before we move on. Today we've looked at Spanish verbs in the pluperfect tense with a focus on all past participles. We've looked at what this tense means and how we use haber for this tense. And we've learnt how to recognise regular and irregular pluperfect tense verbs. And we've learnt how to form regular and irregular pluperfect tense verbs. Muy bien. Adiós.